Hello guys, in today's video I would like to show you one very rare, interesting opening line against Alekhine defense. Actually, this game played long time ago in 1966 between Grandmaster Tukmakov Vladimir and Moses Erwin. So the game starts like usually Alekhine moves: e4 knight f6, e5 knight e5, d4 d6. So in Alekhine defense, white always get the space in the center, and black later try to attack that center. Very possible moves here for white usually are variation c4 with f4. That was 4 pawns variation, very sharp and very unclear theoretically. Then variation knight f3, and after knight f3 white can play bishop g4 and g6. But today I prepared one not so typical line, actually without knight f3, what usually white doing in this position. That was move bishop c4, knight b6. Of course, this is not only move. White can play here c6 and e6. In that case, white can just continue his idea with the knight f3. But move knight b6 is most playable move in this moment. And after bishop b3, black can usually take here. Also possible move d5, but that was not subject of today's video. So we can just focus on move d takes e5, queen f3, e6, white threats mate on f7, so black must play e6, practical only move here in this position. And now white take on e5. After e5, d takes e5, in a game Tukmakov Moses, black play knight c6. Interesting variation was a5. Black tried to play direct on the bishop b3, and he tried to trap the bishop. So the bishop in trouble. So he must play c3 to defend bishop. a4, bishop c2. Bishop make very nice space on c2, and from c2 he make a lot of pressure on h7. Why I choose this line? In this line, if you compare this line with the other Alekhine openings against Alekhine opening, white pawn on e5 was very strong. The knight was not anymore on f6, and in the same time the queen side slowly but surely become a little weak. How white can do that we can see, for example, in this game. Queen d5, black will be very happy to exchange queens, but after queen g3, bishop d7, pressure grow up on g7 now, so the bishop cannot develop so easy. And after move bishop d7, knight d2, bishop c6, knight gf3, rook a5, castle, bishop b5, rook e1, bishop d3, bishop takes d3, queen takes d3, knight e4, knight c6, bishop g5. Now we can see clear what is white threats. Very simply, rook a d1. So practically the only move for black is rook d5, and now very nice, elegant solution for white. Knight f6, gf, bishop f6. The rook in trap on h8, so black decided to play knight c4, but after bishop h8, knight b2, bishop f6, queen c3, queen g8, knight d3, knight g5, rook d7, bishop g7, queen c5, knight e4, queen b4, knight f6, king d8, and after bishop f8, black resigned. That was game Zubov Sukharev, not so famous player, playing Arusha 2001. So that was interesting solution for black, but not good enough for for any better position for black. So let's go back to the main game. Knight c6, queen g3, queen d4. Here, instead of queen d4, what's happened in our game, black can also play knight d4. That was played in the game Hermann Mazy, play on Austria Championship 2005. So in that game, after knight d4, white continued knight f3, and now knight f5. Knight f5 was a good move for black to try to remove the queen from g3, which make pressure on g7 and don't allow bishop to develop so easy. So practically after knight f5, queen h3, c5, knight a3, queen c7, c4, bishop d7, castle a6, rook e1, h6, bishop c2, g6, bishop d2, knight c8, knight b1, knight a7, knight c3. White, with this maneuver, white find great way to get a space in the center. From here he can make a lot of pressure on weak squares, d6 and f6, knight c6, knight e4, castle alongside, bishop c3, bishop e8, rook ad1, knight cd4, bishop b1. Black tries some tactic here, knight e2, but after king f1, knight c3, bishop c6, rook takes d8, queen takes d8, rook d1, queen b6, b3, bishop b7, and after bishop b7, black tried to play rook d8 and completely equalize his position, but after bishop f5, gf, queen h5, black was completely get advantage, because now black have a problem with the f7. Of course, move e takes d5 was not possible. In this case, e takes f5, because in that case black can just jump on, white can just jump on d5. So practically after gf, queen h5, bishop e8, knight e1, queen c7, queen e2, bishop c6, rook d3, bishop d8, rook h3, queen e7, queen e3, bishop a5, knight a4, rook d8, knight d3. White completely dominate with hidden knights, and black weaknesses pawns on h6, pawn h6 and pawn f7. Obviously, a very big problem for black. Bishop a4, b takes. Now black try to exchange that knight, but he cannot protect it now. H pawn, rook c4, queen g7, rook d4, rook h8 check, bishop d8, knight e1, c4, queen f8, queen f8, rook f8, c2, g3, rook d2, h4, king d7, rook f7, bishop e7, h5, c2, knight c2, rook c2, h6, king e8, h7, rook king f7, h8, queen. So this game white won. Interesting was here to see what's happened on rook c8 instead of king e8. What in that case white can do. Probably he can try to play here something like h7, and after that black must block that pawn. And then rook g7 idea. So with the probably winning solution, winning finishing for white, because rook in stack, bishop in stack, and king don't have any good moves. So white can just play f3 and planning g4, g5, g6. So the position is winning. Now we can back to our game. Queen d4, knight f3, queen e4 check, bishop e3, knight to d5. Why this game is important theoretically? Is important because before that idea, black tried to play bishop d7, but after castle, queen g6, queen f4, bishop e7, knight c3, knight b4, rook d1, bishop c6, bishop b6, a takes, a3, knight a6, bishop a4, bishop a4, queen a4, c6, queen d4, knight c5, b4, rook d8, queen e3, knight d7, knight e4, castle, knight d6, rook b8, and now white miss a much better move. In a game he played knight c8, but he missed to play here knight f7, and after rook f7, rook d7 with obviously better position. So bishop d7 is a move for analysis, but this game and this analysis proved a better position for white. After move bishop e3, black continue knight d5, and this is very important move. Bishop d5, e takes, knight c3, queen c2, castle. So white sacrifice pawn, but obviously he have a very strong develop, the king in the center, and black have a lot of problems how to develop his pieces. Right now hang pawn on d5, so black decided to play bishop e6, but after knight b5, rook c8, castle alongside was not so good idea, because then after rook c1 and knight a7, black can take pawn on a7, so white can take pawn on a7. So after knight b5, rook c8, rook fc1, queen g6, bishop a7, queen g3. Black now try to exchange queens and take off all pressure from white side. H takes g3, bishop d7, bishop e3. So we have interesting now, very interesting position where actually white have a better chance because he have active position and he hold the center. That was very important. Even black have a bishop pair. Bishop e7, bishop f4, castle, and now wonderful tactical move. Knight c7. After knight c7, practically Grandmaster Tukmakov have decisive advantage. Rook c7, e6, rook c8, e takes d7, rook d8, knight e5, knight e5, bishop e5, rook d7, king f1. Now we have, I can say, the thematic rook and the bishop endgame, where white have 2 pawn islands and black have 3. So these pawn islands are very big problem for black, especially pawn d5 and b7, and a much more active king for white. So all that give advantage in this endgame. King f1, f5, king e2, rook e8, king d3, king f7, bishop d4. So white obviously completely control the center. Bishop f6, bishop f6, king f6, rook e1. Now he offer him to exchange one rook, rook e4, rook c1, rook e7, rook e4, d takes. Now black fix his problems with the pawn in the center, but after king e3, g5, rook c5, obviously white prepared this move. He cannot play immediately because f4, but he will prepare that. h6, rook b5, rook stay fantastic active on b5. He make pressure on b7, defend b2, and in the same time he planning to attack the pawn on h6. So rook c7, a4, king e6, a5, rook d7, and now g4. After g4, practically black must take the pawn, king e4, rook e7, rook b6, king d7, and king f5. Activity of the rook and the king is the most important meaning in a rook endgame. So white get all that completely, and black in trouble now. Even the material is right now completely equal. Rook e2, rook b7, king c6, a6. After a6, black resign because he cannot simply stop the pawns. For example, if he continue rook f2, then white can simply play king g6, and after rook g2, we have a totally winning rook endgame. Let's see. King h6 or rook b8 with idea a7. So the game was totally winning for white. So guys, in today's video I would try to help you with the white pieces against Alekhine. This is not the main line, this is a rare sub variation, but very interesting idea, and I hope you can try to play this against Alekhine defense. Alekhine defense is very old and classical opening, so I think idea with the early move bishop c4 is a good idea. Also move queen f3 with the idea to attack f7. All that together give a very interesting variation for white. So I hope in some of my other video I can maybe show you the other possibilities against this variation. Thank you for watching my video.